like for you to do right now, I want you to think about your dream. Think about your dream right now. I want you to think about it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me share something with you. I do not believe that any of us have dreams that were not given to us for the purpose of accomplishing those particular dreams. I started out, as was indicated, very humble beginnings. I don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how far-fetched it might appear to be. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. That dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible. See, sometimes we can't say, I can do that. But what we can say, that I can have my dream. As we work on it day in and day out, no one, ladies and gentlemen, could have convinced me when I started out working on my dream, and I want you to think about whatever your dream is. I was willing to take a chance, and most people won't do that. Most of the people that you talk to, these are not risk takers. Most people have done all that they're ever going to do. They raise a family, they earn a living, and then they die. But people who are running toward their dreams, life has a special kind of meaning. That in the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain, a lot of defeats. But in the process of doing that, you will discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. That you have greatness within you, that you're more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine, that you are greater than your circumstances, that you don't have to go through life being a victim. I was born in Miami, Florida, in an area in an abandoned building on a hard linoleum floor with my twin brother. We were adopted. When I was in 5th grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled educable, mentally retarded, and stayed in that category until I got out of high school. But I met a high school teacher who one day changed my life. I was waiting on another student. When he came in, he said to me, young man, go to the board and write what I'm about to tell you. And I said, I can't do that, sir. And he said, why not? I'm not one of your students. He said, it doesn't matter. Follow my directions. I said, I can't do that, sir, because I'm educable, mentally retarded. And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality.
I just make mine so simple that it really doesn't have those complications. If on your goal list is a ranch in Montana, and you say, well, if I worked hard and maybe it's my second year of following an entrepreneurial project and I'm doing fairly well, I think maybe I could accomplish that in 5 years. Sure enough, if good things happen, it's down to 3. If it takes me a little longer, maybe that's off in 10. But I just leave it on my list, not to make it an obsession. And then maybe the more I think about it, say, no, not a farm in Montana. An apartment in New York on Park Avenue. I think I'll change to that. I think that makes it easier. Let that inspire you. If goals inspire you to higher achievement of things and occasions and places you want to go and things you want to see and people you want to meet, if only a little of it comes true, but all of it served as inspiration along the way to do better and work harder, and say maybe some of these goals will be closer than I thought now, it looks exciting. All of that serves you well. Who cares how close you got? Who cares if you set 200 goals and only got 10? It doesn't really matter. And I think if you make it that easy on yourself, tear up the list if you want to, start over. I've gotten some better information now. I'm not going to go for that. How about something else? I think that's the key. I make it easy. Make a list of what you want and start checking off the things that are easy to get on your list. A lot of little things that you start checking off, and then let the rest of it all unfold. But you might as well dream about, having an upstairs maid and a downstairs maid. If you happen to visit a rich man's home and say, wow, that's the life for me, I'm going to put that on my list. The guy's got a limousine and a driver. You say, wow, someday that's for me. And then later you say, no, this limousine and driver deal, that's not for me. But let it inspire you in the meantime. Why not? Even if you change your mind, threw that out, put in something else. One of my friends brought me on his Learjet the other day from San Jose to Van Nuys, close to my home. I thought, wow, it'd be nice to have a jet like this. But I think it only seats 4 people or 5. It was really small. Then he's got an 8-passenger helicopter, pilot and a co-pilot and 6 passengers. It's the latest state-of-the-art, fine machine. Then I thought I'd like to live in a mansion and have all the stuff. But then I go visit someone who's got the mansion and the security and the servants and the groundskeepers, and this whole house is just almost like chaos. and you have a cup of coffee and you drink it and you can't even set your own coffee cup down. Somebody comes and takes it away, and I say, with my temperament and style, this is really not for me. I've got to live a little more simple life. But for someone else, a house full of servants and groundkeepers and security and the whole entourage, that's for them. But if they wanted it and later changed their mind to live a little more serene life, then that's okay too. Did you ever get that mansion on the hill with all those servants that, yeah, I went for that for a while, but the more I went to some places where people lived like that, the more I thought, no, this is really not for me. Having my fishing line in a tranquil stream in Montana, I think now suits my style a little better. I did a seminar in each city, in 13 cities, a month. I had the elaborate entourage. It was unbelievable. One day I decided, someday I shall have no office, I shall have no secretary, I shall be free. And sure enough, that day finally arrived. People ask me now, what is your email address? And I say, I do not have one. I do have a website that someone else runs, but I have really simplified my life. A company that I do a lot of business with around the world asked me, do you want an office? I said, no. I said, do you want a secretary? I said, no. Then I did say once, yes, I'm going to have the satellite and put a fax machine in my motorhome so that I can be in touch but out of reach. I want somebody to say, yes, you can contact him, but you can't find him for a while. He's not gone forever, but he's gone for a while. So I do seek solitude, chances to get away. My farm in Idaho, overlooking Snake River, is a great place to get away and deal in agriculture and build a few homes. A little change of pace from flying all around the world. It's exciting for me. But for now, right, I have no office and no secretary and no email address, and so I managed to escape most of it. And I think you just have to really make the hard and fast decisions. I did a speech one time, and the title of my speech was, Today I Am a Wealthy Man. Didn't have much to do with money. But here's what I said. I want you to jot these notes down. Here was number one. I said I'm wealthy because of my heritage, my parents, my grandparents. My grandmother studied nutrition, passed it on to my mother. Back in those days when my mother studied and practiced nutrition, she was called like a health nut, right? Do you go back that far, right? Your parents or grandparents? They were called health nuts. They were studying vitamins and they were studying this. Mama used to mix up some of this stuff for me and Papa and said, if this don't kill us, I think it'll help. And we're, gagging this stuff down. My mother, with the practice and study of better nutrition, extended her life at least, the doctor said, at least 20 years. Said if your mother hadn't have done that, she wouldn't have lived that extra 20 years. He said when your mother died, the walls of her heart were paper thin. He said how she lived this last 20 years is incomprehensible. And then I told him, Mama used to do all the juices, had the distiller to distill the water, all the stuff that was considered kind of kooky, right? Back in the 40s and the 50s and 60s. Herbs and twigs, something to smoke. But Mama did all that stuff, extended her life over 20 years. My father lived to be 93, never had a major illness. I've never had one. Passed it on to my children, my grandchildren. Unbelievable. My heritage. What's that worth? It's worth a fortune. So you got to contemplate every once in a while your blessings, and part of your blessing is your heritage. Next is the heritage of your country. We that come from the free country, engaging in enterprise to start with $1 and make a fortune, become a millionaire. What value is that heritage? It's unbelievable. We enjoy the benefit of courts we didn't start. We enjoy the benefit of laws we didn't create. We enjoy the benefit of learning institutions we didn't found. We enjoy the benefit of medicine we didn't discover. Wow. Heritage. Next, I said I'm a wealthy man because of my experiences. Experience makes you rich. Here's what you must treat your experiences as: commodity. You must treat your experiences as high value. You must treat your experiences as capital so that you can invest in the future what you've learned in the past. My experiences now have taken me around the world. A birthday celebration last year, right, in 16 cities. It was one of the most unbelievable experiences of my life. A group got together in Italy and gave me a helicopter tour of Sorrento, Naples, Vesuvius, the Isle of Capri, Pompeii from the air. Wow. Unbelievable experience.
God is not going to let the opposition delay you from your destiny. He has already scheduled your destiny moments. It may feel like you're falling behind. The opposition is holding you back. Stay encouraged. At the right time, that adversity is going to hurry out of your way. Red seas can't keep you from your purpose. God knows how to part those waters. Legal situations, companies that seem bigger, stronger, They can't stop God's plan for your life. It may feel like you're stuck. You don't see anything improving. Don't worry. God knows how to do a quick work. It can happen suddenly.
create images in the minds of others with words. Now, I want to show you another kind of image creating that's a vital part of thinking big. Learn this skill well. Make it one of your primary success tools. The skill is simply this: learn to see what can be, not just what is. Big thinkers, all big thinkers, train themselves to see the potential in people and things and ideas, not just what exists right now. I have a friend who is a highly successful realtor. He specializes in rural property, and I'd like to take you on a brief outing with him to hear what he has to say about seeing the potential in things.
Oh, this is about 450 acres, kind of hilly as you can see. Scruffy undergrowth, little skimpy secondary growth trees. Not exactly farm beautiful, is it? You know, most of the rural property around here is pretty run down like this. But I think I'm successful because I developed my entire sales plan around what this place can be. Now let me show you what I've done with this farm. I've spent 2 days just studying it and trying to imagine what it could be. Here we have 85 acres of bottomland, we got 115 acres of woods, about 200 acres of pasture, and we're 45 minutes from town, about a stone's throw from the freeway, and 35 miles from the airport. Well, I've asked myself, what's this farm good for? Well, here's one possibility. Here, this is a plan for a horse riding stable. I've got it all typed up here, you see. As you can see, we've got all the right ingredients. A rapidly growing city nearby. You can hear the construction from here. Lots of new families moving in. I mean, it's built and designed for families around here. Here's a report that states that the outdoor activities are the fastest growing recreational form that there is right now. You've got good pasture and some nice hills, and they're not too steep, right? You can support lots of horses right here. Grow your own barley, your own wheat and grain. That way, all of the revenue produced in this property stays right here for the profit of the buyer. With a minimal amount of landscaping, you can put in some trails, run them over the hills, down to the river. I mean, can't you see people riding their horses over the top of that hill, back up through the gorge? You see, this way, when I talk to prospects, I don't have to convince them that this place is a good buy just as it is. I can help them actually see it turned into a money-making venture. That has added bonuses too. I can sell more farms and sell them faster this way. And on top of that, I can sell them usually for more money than my competitors, because they're not just buying a farm. They're buying a farm and an idea.
Once again, the moral to this true story is this: look at things not as they are, but as they can be. Visualization, you see, adds value to everything. A big thinker always visualizes what can be done in the future and doesn't limit himself to the present. And always remember, this principle doesn't just apply to things. It applies to people as well. If you can see the potential in a customer who comes into your store and spends, say, $5, then you create the possibility that the customer will come back again, and next time spend $500. If you drive through Skid Row and see just a bunch of broken down stumblebums and winos, then you're not thinking big. There are a few devoted individuals who can see in those Skid Row residents a lot of human potential. And because they can see this potential, those few people are able to help a lot of those unfortunate people get back on their feet. The best teachers are the ones who see Jimmy not as a little troublemaker who talks too much, but as an energetic, bright kid who needs a special challenge to get motivated. This teacher isn't seeing Jimmy as he is, but as Jimmy can be. Now, turn this idea inward and look at yourself. What about your own potential, your own worth? If you were to go in for salary negotiations with your boss tomorrow, how would you present yourself? Would you see yourself exactly as you are today? Or would you see the potential you have to offer, the executive you can be in 2 years, or the sales you can bring in over the next 5 years? Are you looking at yourself only in the present, or do you see yourself as a person you can be at some point in the future? The way to develop the power to see what can be, not just what is to practice adding value to things, people, and ideas. Now, here are some exercises that will help you do this.
First, practice adding value to things. Remember the real estate salesman and ask yourself, what can I do to add value to this room, or this house, or this business? Look for ideas to make things worth more. Anything, whether it's a vacant lot or a new house or a business, has value in proportion to the ideas for using it. And practice adding value to people. As you move higher and higher in the world of success, more and more of your job will become people development. So ask, what can I do to add value to my subordinates? How can I help them be more effective? Remember, to bring out the best in a person, you must first visualize their best. And finally, practice adding value to yourself. Conduct a daily interview with yourself and ask, what can I do to make myself more valuable today? Visualize yourself not as you are, but as you can be. Then, specific ways for attaining your potential value will begin to suggest themselves.
There is no such thing as a perfectly smooth, trouble-free road to success. You can be sure there are plenty of bumps on everyone's path to fulfillment. Nothing worthwhile comes easily, but there is something that you can do that will help to at least smooth out some of these minor bumps, and I can sum it up for you in one short sentence. Don't concern yourself with trivia. Now that sounds simple, but the fact is that it's often much easier to get caught up in trivia than to avoid it, simply because of our habits. For example, ask yourself this question: why do people quarrel? At least 90% of our quarrels are over trivial concerns. Somebody's late, or somebody forgot to buy something at the store, or somebody bought the wrong brand. Now, to become a big thinker, you need to eliminate as many of these bumps and potholes from your personal road to success as you can. So the next time a trivial matter comes up, ask yourself, is this really important? Does it really matter which route I take to the airport? Does it really matter if someone forgets to put the cap on the toothpaste? Is it really important that your spouse invited someone to the party you don't like or squandered a little bit too much money? When you fix your mental gaze on the big picture and remember the goal that you're working toward, success, fulfillment, and happiness, you'll find that many of these potential quarrels simply aren't important enough to warrant an argument. Just asking that question, is it really important, works wonders at the office too. It works in the traffic going home when another driver tries to cut you off. It works when you might get the smallest office in the renovation plan. It works when you overlook the small, annoying habits of your fellow workers. And it works when you're solving problems, or counseling employees, or making decisions about your career. Just don't get caught up in trivia.
So they took the crown off this woman's head and put it on the other woman. This is horrible for this young girl. So I'm in the back. I go to the press conference. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's over with. I go to sleep about 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't sleep. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting up to leave Las Vegas to go home. I go outside. Reporters are everywhere. I get on the plane. Reporters are everywhere. I land in Atlanta. Reporters are everywhere. How could you? You're the stupidest person. This is the biggest mistake ever. I could do nothing. I could not leave my house for days. People were driving by my house tying notes on rocks and throwing it over the gate with names on it. It was horrible. Within 48 hours, my name, Steve Harvey, had been Googled 4 billion times. 4 billion times in 48 hours. I was the most famous person on planet Earth in 48 hours. God had increased my global brand and persona. I did not appreciate the way he did it, but I was the most famous person in the world for 48 hours. That was a big fall. That was a fault. They wrote about me in the papers. His career is over. He's ruined. He will never recover from this. He is not going to be on TV anymore. How could you? They wrote that all about me. But they did not know that the God I serve is in control of my life. Not them. Not the media. None of them. It is God. And so he had a different plan for me, because I had gotten up so many times before, because I had fallen. I was homeless for years and lived in a car. He got me up. I lost my mother. He picked me up. I lost my father 3 years later. He picked me up. My big brother died. He picked me up. He kept picking me up. I am so used to getting up to getting back up. Every time I get knocked down, I keep getting back up over and over and over again. So let me show you something about you. Let me teach you something now. All of you in here have had some bad days. All of you in here have had some days where you felt like you wasn't gonna make it. All of you in here have had some crushing things happen to you and you did not see no way you was gonna make it. All of you in here have felt so badly sometimes you did not know what to do. But let me tell you something about you. Your track record for surviving bad days is 100%.
Put some money in your new Investment for Fortune account today. Start reading with intensity for your new Wealth of Mind plan today. Write a postponed letter today. Make a delayed telephone call today. Pick up your camera and take a picture of something to start your new treasury of photographs today. Get some momentum going on your new commitment to the better life. See how many activities you can pile on in this first day.
This journey that I'm on, and knowing that the distance ahead for me is shorter than the distance I have come thus far. I want you to write this down, please. Write this down. And that is, live with a sense of urgency. live with a sense of urgency. And people that are living with a sense of urgency, they spend their time doing things that's them. This, what I'm doing now, this is me.
It takes such a desperate, obsessive focus to excel on the level that I want to make movies. You know, I was Star Wars. When I was young, I sat in the movie theater and watched Star Wars, and I just couldn't believe that movie made me feel like that, just floored and just stunned by the creativity. And just, I'm realizing that in order to move people in that way, in order to touch people in that way, you really got to focus.
I remember back to what my principal said, because I went to the principal when they wrote it on my car and in my notebook, and the best advice he can give me, God help his soul, was this: they're ignorant. And so but honestly, I talked to the guy as I wrote my book, and I have nothing wrong with Principal Freeman. I actually interviewed him for the book, and he was happy interview. He's a good man. What you could tell some black kid, you're a white guy in white society, we could tell him.
You know, you kind of have this idea that a chimpanzee troop is driven, let's say, by the most dominant, powerful male, the most aggressive, cruel, tyrannical chimpanzee dominates. And that isn't what Frans de Waal found. What he found was that in order that those sorts of chimpanzee troops have leaders that meet very violent ends, because no matter how tyrannical you are as top chimp, 2 chimps 3/4 your size can take you out. And they will. And chimpanzees are unbelievably brutal.
I think about how many times I've closed the door. I didn't think something would work out, and God came through my doubt, through my fear, through what I thought was impossible. When we wanted to build a new auditorium, twice the land we found was sold out from under us. The first time it happened, I was certain that was the enemy trying to take our property. I kept praying, believing, hoping.
You got to understand that this hard time that you're going through is everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. Every trial and tribulation you go through prepares you for the life God has for you. All the hard times. First of all, let me just say just one last thing. Now I got to take this picture. You cannot name one single thing that God has not brought you through.
Stay clean. Everyone say stay clean. For whoever would love life and see good days must keep his tongue from evil and his lips from deceitful speech. He must turn from evil and do good. He must seek peace and pursue it. Ooh, that's good. Let me just tell you something right now. Many of us, we continue to suffer because we don't have control of our mouth. You either control your mouth or your mouth is going to control you.
It's only because you have a job that you're able to survive. Most of us want more than what we already have. But the fact that you do have, and you're being mean, you have an attitude, everything about what you've been doing is basically self-sabotage. You're trying to, it's like, okay, here's a blessing, here's an opportunity right here in front of me. I'm gonna use my charm to get in the door, and then I'm gonna become an asshole. Self-sabotage, self-defeat.
Here's how you change. 5 simple, quick steps, and then I'm gonna give you a little tool that if you want to, you can go online and really make a change with. If you're gonna change your life, step 1, I don't care if something has happened to you. You know, somebody has spilled oil all over where you fish. It's disgusting how they dealt with it, but it's happened. You got to deal with it. Something's happened. Someone in your family's been injured. You've lost your job. I don't care what the problem is. If you're in a crisis, step number 1, see it as it is.
It doesn't move God, and he's basically just saying, when are you going to shut up and start acting like you really believe me? Amen? Now, there's a time to sit down and tell God how you feel, but then that should take you about 2 or 3 minutes, and then you need to go back to the Word of God. People who did things by faith. I mean, some pretty outrageous things. Abel brought his best offering by faith.
When she touched him, immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was free from her suffering. She was already free. Why did he call her back? Not to reprimand her. Maybe he called her back to give her a little bit more money or a little bit more details, or maybe to give her a little extra help. So I read that over and over again. Somebody say, I'm not what I thought. You remember how she snuck up and said, if I touch it, and then I sneak away?
That fear generally is in your mind.
Yeah.
That, you know, when you get up on stage to do a public speaking, people are not going to throw tomatoes at you and say, oh my, you're an idiot, get off the stage. No, right. they're going to sit there, you know, so there's nothing to fear.
Yeah.
It's in your head. Rome wasn't built in a day. We all know that. Everyone hears that. But Rome also didn't fall apart overnight either.
I want you to start to think about next year. Let's just pick June 2021, okay? It's enough time to think that things might be a little bit different. What could the current you do right now that will bring you closer and start to close the gap with the future you? That's the power of your dreams, is they pull you forward. They make you think beyond the circumstance. They remind you of who you are. And so start with what you value. Start with the stuff you don't like that's happening right now in your life.
Go all out. Break away from the negative downward pull of gravity. Start the thrusters going. Prove to yourself that waiting is over, hoping is past, and that faith and action have now taken charge. It's a new day, a new beginning for your new life.
If your comfort zone is this big and you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you'll fail. In order to succeed in life, you have to step outside of your comfort zone. But I want to tell you something about yourself. All of you are equipped to live outside of your comfort zone. See, a lot of people are afraid to jump. A lot of people are afraid to take chances. A lot of people are afraid to put things up for risk. And you shouldn't be. Now, you can be afraid, but you should learn how to go ahead anyhow. See, because let me show you something about yourself. For all the bad days you've ever had, for every day that you thought you wasn't going to get through, for every period in your life you did not see no way you could come out on the other side, your track record for surviving them bad days is 100%. You have survived every single one of them. Your track record for surviving bad days, y'all, is 100%. And that's pretty good. You can't name one bad day you ain't got through. I have a life of convenience now. But in order to get the life of convenience, you got to have a very uncomfortable life. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Stop trying to do everything the short way. Stop trying to figure out the easy way. You got to get messed up sometimes. You got to get dirty. You got to get your feelings hurt. You got to get disappointed. You got to get told no. You're going to ask somebody for some money. He going to tell you no. But show me something that has grown into something beautiful that didn't have no dirt on it. You take a seed and throw it on the concrete. Don't put no dirt on it and watch what happens. See, you get tripped out because you got dirt on you. But you need dirt on you to develop. Because dirt ain't just dirt. Dirt is fertilizer. Dirt is nutrients. Dirt gives you the strength for your seed to push through. See, you got to have dirt on you to push through something. Everything you see that's beautiful starts out as a seed, but that seed got to get dirt on it. See, you get mad when haters come your way. You get mad because you get a setback. You get mad because you get thrown off course. You get mad because you get a detour. That's just dirt. You get mad because they talking about you. That's dirt. You get mad because you lost your mama. That's dirt. I want you to think about all them bad moments you had that looked like you wasn't going to make it. And then I want you to ask yourself, well, why did I make it? Just change your mindset. If you change your attitude, you change your altitude.
My suggestion to all young people, if you could just hear me clearly, don't do what I did. Mess off all of their 20s. From 20 to 29, they just jack it off. They just jack off their 20s. They mess them up. Because 20 is that age, man, where you just really just trying to have too much fun. You're free, you're out of college, you don't live at your mama's house no more, you're out on your own. So what do? Mostly all of us, 98% of the people I know, we spend our 20s trying to exert ourselves in the fun category. We got to get off work so we can go to happy hour. We got to get off work so we can go get high. We got to get off work so we can go drink a cold. We got to get off work, go smoke one. We got to go hang out with the fella. We got to play video games. The average person blows all of their 20s. Then when you find out that life ain't waiting on you, now you're 30. Now guess what happens to mostly all of us, including myself? I spent all of my 30s trying to do the things that I should have been doing in my 20s. So now my life is behind. Now you look up and you're 40s, you in your 40s, and now you're trying to do the things and have the things that you could have had in your 30s, man, had you just done what you should have did in your 30s. And then the tragedy starts to occur. You look up and you're 50. Now, that don't mean it's too late for you, because it wasn't too late for me. But you look up and you're 50, and now all of a sudden, all through your 50s, you trying to create and have a life that you could have created and had in your 30s.
My hero. That's who I chase. Now, when I was 15 years old, I had a very important person in my life come to me and say, who's your hero? And I said, I don't know, I got to think about that. Give me a couple of weeks. I come back 2 weeks later. This person comes up and says, who's your hero? I said, I thought about it. You know who it is? I said, it's me in 10 years. So I turned 25 10 years later. That same person comes to me and goes, so are you a hero? And I was like, not even close. No. She said, why? I said, because my hero is me at 35. So you see, every day, every week, every month, and every year of my life, my hero is always 10 years away. I'm never going to be my hero. I'm not going to attain that. I know I'm not. And that's just fine with me because that keeps me with somebody to keep on chasing. I'm going to talk to you about some things I've learned in my journey. Most from experience. Some of them I heard in passing. Many of them I'm still practicing, but all of them I do believe are true. Life is not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it and get on with it. And yes, most things are more rewarding when you break a sweat to get them. Happiness is an emotional response to an outcome. If I win, I will be happy. If I don't, I won't. And I say if happiness is what you're after, then you're going to be let down frequently, and you're going to be unhappy much of your time. Joy, though. Joy is a different thing. It's something else. Joy is not a choice. It's not a response to some result. It's a constant. Joy is the feeling that we have from doing what we are fashioned to do, no matter the outcome. Now, personally, as an actor, I started enjoying my work and literally being more happy. Define success for yourself. Now, check this out. I'm in south of New Orleans a few years ago, and I went to a voodoo shop. And they had this wooden partition against the wall with these columns. And in these columns were all these vials of these magic potions, right? And the headings above each potion defining what they would give you were things like fertility, health, family, legal help, energy, forgiveness, money. Guess which column was empty? Money. Let's admit it. Money is king today. It's what makes the world go round. It is success. The more we have, the more successful we are, right? Now, I would argue that our cultural values have even been financialized. Humility is not in vogue anymore. It's too passive. It's a get rich quick on the internet, rich as 15 minutes of fame world that we live in, and we see it every day. But we all want to succeed, right? So the question that we got to ask ourselves is what success is to us, what success is to you.